Friends, kindness, and wisdom to all. Welcome to the Summary Club, the channel of fast training and self-development. And today we're going to talk about actions that inspire and motivate to move. When we strive to fulfill our dreams, to realize something important and meaningful for us, an important factor that inspires and supports us are real examples of people who were able to do what we want to achieve the goal despite all the difficulties that confronted them. Such examples are a kind of beacon for us. They help us to stand in difficult situations. When you look at them, you think, if they could do it, then I can do it too. And today I want to tell you about two such examples of people who achieved success by their own efforts due to their charisma and the right traits of their character. The first of them is Thor Heyerdahl, who is rightly called the most famous Norwegian of the 20th century. Why did he receive such a title? First of all, I think because he was not afraid to set himself incredible goals, was a risky adventurer, was able to think outside the box and, when necessary, to refuse the usual patterns. After all, only such a person could have had the idea of crossing the Pacific Ocean on a balsa raft without any normal as we understand it control, obeying only the winds and currents with the sole purpose of proving that the ancestors of the Polynesians came from South America. Even today this act seems crazy to many people, and in those years, 1947, even more so. Many predicted that the first wave would overturn the raft, but Thor and his like-minded friends did not stop it. What motivated him? First and foremost, of course, the desire to prove his hypothesis, based on the fact that Polynesian culture and myths have many similarities to those of the Indians, although these peoples are separated by thousands of miles. And also the courage to believe in the ancient Polynesian legends of the chief Tiki, who came from the east. As we can see from this example, the fulfillment of dreams sometimes forces us to take risks. It is one of the traits of people who have learned to fulfill their dreams and succeed in anything. And the risk for Thor and his friends was not small, to stay more than 3 months in the middle of the ocean without hope of anyone's help. And this despite the fact that Heyerdahl himself in his childhood twice almost drowned and since then has been afraid of water. And at the very last moment they could have crashed as the raft washed out on the reef. However, the risk was justified. Thor thus managed to prove his hypothesis. But of course it was not only and not so much about that, it was about believing in the impossible. To prove to ourselves and to others that we are capable of much more than we imagine if we want to. And here you involuntarily ask, what qualities contribute to success in such seemingly unbelievable ventures? What helps to achieve their goals and energize people to lead them? And Thor Heyerdahl, judging by the recollections of his contemporaries, had some indispensable character traits that endeared him to those around him. Thor had a special gift. He could charm anyone from the king and the president to the inhabitants of Easter Island, who revealed to him the secret of the origin of the giant stone statues on the island. This is how Ksenia Senkevich, the widow of traveler and TV presenter Yuri Senkevich, who took part in 3 Heyerdahl expeditions, recalls about him. And this of course is an important quality because it is what helps to unite like-minded people around him. Another important quality that almost all people who have achieved success possess, which inspires and motivates us to act in history, and which has helped different people come together and understand each other, is the ability to remain calm in difficult situations. After all, when a group of people find themselves in a confined space with nowhere to escape from each other, there is a danger of mental illness, which Heyerdahl himself called acute expeditionitis. When expedition participants see only the faults of each other while ceasing to notice the good. And the task of the expedition leader in this case, to be able to resist this and be an example for others, and judging by memories Thor coped with this task well. Yuri Senkevich recounted how once during the expedition Ra-2, sailing on a reed boat from Egypt to South America, the crew members lost their nerve. They began to fight over nonsense and almost came to blows. And it was only Thor who kept quiet, and looking at him the others were silent, and realizing that they were fighting over nonsense, they laughed. This example seems to me very revealing, because when you go to the goal, you are a kind of energy center, a positive example for those who move with you. And from your inner mood depends how they will behave. Your confidence is always transmitted to those around you. Finishing the conversation about this amazing man, we should note another important quality of him, as well as the ability of other leaders and successful people, namely the desire for mutual understanding and rapid establishment of contacts with a variety of people regardless of nationality, race and religion. This is exactly what is sorely lacking today in our world, torn by contradictions, and people like Thor let us know that mutual understanding is possible because we are all human. For the Ra and Ra 2 expeditions, he specially recruited an international team in order to show that mutual understanding is possible when people strive for the same goal and overcome all obstacles together. When you sit together under the stars and know that together you will go down or swim on, tolerating the views of another is much easier than when you sit on opposite sides of the border and with your nose tucked into a newspaper or TV screen, swallow carefully coiffed phrases. T. Heyerdahl. In my opinion, this is exactly what any of us needs to realize for ourselves today, because in order for all the beautiful dreams to come true, we all badly need unity and mutual understanding. We're all in the same boat, they're never tired of repeating, and we should always remember that too.
Subscribe to the Summary Club and watch short versions of the most popular and useful videos every day.
The following story, which we would like to tell and which has helped to change many people's lives for the better, can serve as a vivid example of how the all-consuming power of desire helps to overcome all obstacles and achieve what the soul seeks. The story is about Sally Jessy Raphael, a famous American film and television actress. Few people today know that her path to realizing her dream was long and thorny. Since her youth she dreamed of a career as a radio host, but for a long time none of the American radio stations agreed to accept her because in their opinion the woman could not attract listeners. She was put out on the street 18 times, but she still did not give up. In the end she was still allowed on the air, being assigned to host a political talk show. It was an unusual topic for her, but even here she found herself telling the audience in a calm, conversational style what the 4th of July meant to her personally, and then asking studio guests about it. As a result, the program was a great success. Viewers loved the new presenter, and the management of the company understood this. And today Sally Jessy Raphael, a 2-time Emmy Award winner, hosts her own television show, which draws an audience of 8 million people daily in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. This example of an inspiring story for me is indicative of the fact that if there is a need in the soul of something, it will definitely lead to the goal. You just have to believe in yourself and do not retreat under any circumstances. The dreams of the weak are an escape from reality. The dreams of the strong shape reality, wrote Joseph Bester. And our two heroes are undoubtedly examples of those whose dreams create reality, change it for the better, and their personal stories inspire and motivate any person in whom his cherished dream has not yet died. However, among such dreamers there are also those who for some reason are limited in their abilities, who have certain physical disabilities that would seem to hinder a full life, but strangely enough everything is exactly the opposite. This is what stimulates such people to open up the possibilities of their soul, proving to themselves and to the world that a person's limitations are only in his head. The following video will be about them, about people with disabilities who have succeeded against all odds. And friend, don't forget to subscribe to the Summary Club for becoming more successful, educated, kinder and wiser every day. Save hundreds of hours and dollars spending on boring regular education. Feel free to write your opinions and questions about each video. We read all the comments. In addition, go to our official website, where you can find reading materials or watch other videos on channel and links in the description. All the best.